What are alternative investments, Tucker? And why would an investor care to look at those?
Well, there's a lot of answers to that. Alternatives are just that. They're alternative investments to what you might typically find on the stock markets. So stocks and bonds are your traditional investments. And then you have alternatives, which are for a little bit higher accredited investors. So people who um, make at least 200,000 to 300,000 a year, or with a net worth of over 1 million, not including their principal household. And there's a ton of different ones out there. I mean, they're all over the country. They're all over other countries too. But they're investments that typically you wouldn't find with much ease on the market. So, and there's a bunch of different sectors to them. There's real estate, there's energy, both traditional and green energy. There's oil and gas, there's mining, and we've even seen some more unique ones recently that have to do with renting out private charter planes, and they're pretty interesting, but they're not for the faint of heart, as they say.
Yes. So what kind of an objective would you need? Do you have different objectives, Tucker, in the group? I think you do.
Yeah, so there's a couple different objectives. So obviously, any portfolio is really tailored towards growth and income. So with alternative investments, you can find pure income deals that are great because right now, the way that the markets are, the way that interest rates are, bonds and the traditional ways of providing income aren't providing as much income as they used to. So these income alternative investments can be really good supplements to that. Then there's growth as well that are only focused on capital appreciation. So they may not pay out any money over the year, but overall, by the time the deal is done or the program's done, you're hoping to be up a considerable amount. And then there's hybrid deals and programs that have both income and growth components to them. And then there's also a few other ones that are a little bit, I don't want to say out of reach, but they just have higher minimums. So the ultra high net worth programs can have minimum investments of anywhere from 250,000 to 1 million. Mm-hmm. Whereas traditional investments can really be anywhere from a couple thousand to 50,000. Right. So that's a big difference right there. And then they also have very aggressive growth oriented deals. So still about the same minimums, anywhere from 25 to 50,000, but they are much, I don't want to say much riskier, but they're riskier in aiming for a little bit higher growth than what you might see elsewhere. So,
right. So Tucker, when you invest in these, they're not liquid, right? You can't really sell them like stocks, can you?
Yeah, most of them. There's a few. Obviously, there's a few exceptions, but for the most part, these deals and programs can have anywhere from 3-year terms to 10-year terms, and some may even be longer. So it's really not for an investor who would need the money soon. If right. if they need liquidity, this probably wouldn't be the absolute best idea. But right. and that's something to talk about with your financial advisor and see if it's right for you. But yeah, they definitely have some long-term deals.
Yes. So an investor who doesn't like the 2% they're getting in their bonds, they might go for a series of income programs to get 5, 6, 7% from a real estate program or cannabis income or wireless assets income or something like that, right? That might be something an investor would do.
Yep. So one that actually comes to mind right off the bat is it's a company called Megatel. They're located down in Dallas.
Home building.
Yep, home building. Yep. And they're actually doing something very unique. They're creating single family homes. They're creating entire communities, and they're also helping, for all of those younger listeners or millennial listeners, they're actually helping to make it possible for the younger generation to get into home buying. And the way they're doing that is by, if you rent an apartment through their apartment locating service, they'll actually, at the end of your lease, they'll help you get into one of their houses. And by renting through them, they'll actually refund some of the rent that you paid so that you can get into one of their houses. It's a really unique deal. It's really cool. And that's an income play. And that one pays out about 8% per year. So like you said, if you're tired of the bonds maybe getting 1 to 3%, and you're looking for something that could possibly generate 5 to 10%, that's something that may be of interest.
Right. Right. And so everyone has to talk to their own financial advisor and see whether those kinds of programs are right. But I think, as Tucker said, I think there's 40 or so different programs involved in that platform. And then Tucker's the advisor to the committee, and any investor who's looking to get better returns on a certain segment of their portfolio, that's something they can consider.
Yep, absolutely.
Thanks, Tuck.